In the mid-1840s, the potato crop failed in North America, Northern Europe, and particularly Ireland because of the blight. It caused hunger in many places and famine in Ireland. Potatoes ceased to be a cash crop for decades because of the persistence of the disease. Today on Abbreviated Bios, I will go over the life of the man who created a blight-resistant potato, Luther Burbank. Hi, I'm Stephen Yoder, your host. Luther Burbank was born the 13th of 15 children on March 7th, 1849 in Lancaster, Massachusetts. His parents were Samuel and Olive Burbank. Olive was extremely fond of nature and Luther took after her interests. Luther went to school until 15, then at his father's urging began studying medicine. In 1868, he read Charles Darwin's Variation of Animals and Plants Under Domestication. This book inspired his belief in evolution and his passion for developing new plants. Unfortunately, his belief in evolution will lead to other unsavory beliefs. In 1868, Luther's father died. Luther promptly stopped studying medicine, took his inheritance, and bought 17 acres in Lunenburg, where he took up market gardening. The vegetables he began producing and selling were of a higher quality than other gardeners. One of the vegetables Burbank experimented with was the potato. The potato industry had collapsed with the blight, but it was still being grown. In 1871, Burbank found a seed ball developing among some early rose potatoes. It had 23 seeds, which produced 23 plants. One potato contained the features he wanted and cultivated more of them. He sent a bag of potatoes to many seed companies, but only one responded favorably, the James J.H. Gregory & Sons Seed Company of Marblehead, Massachusetts. The potato that Luther had cultivated was resistant to the blight, which had destroyed the potato industry. Gregory called the potato Burbank seedling and began selling it. He paid $125 for Burbank's entire seed stock except for 10 tubers that he left for Luther. Soon, this potato was being grown all over the U.S. Years later, in 1902, Burbank developed the Burbank russet potato, which is the dominant type grown in the United States. With the money he got from Gregory, $125, which, considering the potato grosses about $2 billion a year now, was pretty cheap. But with that money, he bought a farm in Santa Rosa, California in 1875. Burbank's farm in Santa Rosa had a nursery garden, a greenhouse, and a few more acres. He experimented on plants there for the next 50 years. He experimented on thousands of plants, producing better varieties with better tastes or traits. He was extremely sensitive to desirable odors, sizes, and tastes of flowers, fruit, and vegetables. Yet he angered scientists by never writing down his experimental processes. To try to alleviate this, in 1905, the Carnegie Institute made a 10-year contract with Burbank to document his experiments. They sent Dr. George Shull to help out. Ultimately, the Institute canceled the contract after 5 years because even they couldn't document everything that Burbank was doing. Over the decades, Burbank developed 113 types of plums and prunes, 10 different types of apples, 16 different types of blueberries and blackberries, and 13 types of raspberries, 10 different strawberries, 10 different cherries, 8 peaches, and 3 walnuts, and many others. He also developed spineless cacti to use as forage for cattle in desert areas. Dr. J.H. Weber said of Luther, "The science of breeding grew and advanced rapidly the first 2 decades of the 20th century, and though it may not be generally recognized, the movement is traceable to Burbank as a potent activator." Burbank never made a huge amount of money from his experiments. He found his rewards in his work and in its results. Burbank was married twice. He married Helen Coleman in 1890, but they divorced in 1896. He married a second time in 1916 to Elizabeth Waters. He was 67 and she was 26. Burbank never had any children. Unfortunately, his belief in evolution led him inexorably into the dangerous idea of eugenics. He wrote The Training of the Human Plant in 1907, comparing raising children to how he developed plants. This eugenics belief among many elite Americans eventually led to thousands of Americans being forcefully sterilized. Burbank was also an atheist. He said in the early 1920s, "I am an infidel today. I do not believe what has been served to me to believe. I am a doubter, a questioner, a skeptic." Gastrointestinal complications and violent hiccups, yes, violent hiccups, led to Burbank's fatal heart attack, which killed him in April 11th, 1926. He was buried under the branches of a giant cedar of Lebanon that was in his front yard. In his will, Burbank named the Stark Brothers Nurseries and Orchards to carry on his work. In 1931, the flowers, vegetables, and seeds from his experimental farm were sold to Burt B. Seed Company. In California, every March 7th, which is Burbank's birthday, is celebrated as Arbor Day, with the planting of trees. In 1930, the Plant Patent Act amended U.S. patent law to permit patent protection of newly developed types of plants. Now scientists can patent diseases. Thank you for listening and watching Abbreviated Bios. If you like these kind of biographies, please subscribe. Maybe give it a high rating. Thank you for listening. Bye.